This is a story that hospitals and pharmaceutical companies will never tell you, but because it's a truth I've learned from 60 years of medical practice, I'm going to tell you everything today. Are you aware of the shocking fact that 1 in 2 people over the age of 80 inches our country suffer from dementia? This statistic is not just a number. It is a reality filled with the pain and tears of countless families torn apart by this disease. And what's even scarier is that at this very moment, the real cause of dementia may be quietly and secretly growing in your brain. I am Dr. Robert Carter, an 88-year-old neurologist who has served as the president of the International Geriatrics Association. I have spent my life dedicated to dementia research, seeing patients all over the world for 60 years. Today, as a doctor and as a person, I'm going to tell you a shocking truth. The cause of dementia that I believed in for 60 years was wrong. Have you recently experienced moments of fuzzy memory or other symptoms that felt like they might be dementia? You may have dismissed them as trivial signs of aging, thinking they were no big deal. But what I'm about to tell you today may completely change your perspective. The person I loved most in my life was my wife 40 years ago, when she was 39. An unbelievable thing happened to us. My wife, who was always bright and sharp, suddenly started forgetting appointments, getting lost on familiar streets near our house, and even confusing the names of our beloved children. I was a doctor, but I was in despair, unable to help the person who mattered most to me, seeing her tremble with anxiety, and unable to sleep every night. I fell into a deep darkness myself. At the time, the medical community firmly believed that the cause of dementia was a clump of protein called beta amyloid. I believed this theory as if it were an unshakable truth, and I thought it was my only hope to save my wife. Driven by the sole mission to save her, I joined a world-renowned research team to develop a new drug. I poured all my knowledge, passion, and sense of duty as a doctor into this effort. But after 20 years and hundreds of millions of dollars in research funding, the result was a devastating failure. The new drug had no effect, and my wife eventually succumbed to the disease and passed away. I lost not only my beloved but also all my confidence as a doctor, burdened by the guilt that I couldn't save her with my own hands. Have you ever experienced a moment like that? A moment where you feel powerless as a loved one suffers. A moment when, after saying goodbye to someone, you want to follow them? As I was about to end my life as a doctor in that deep despair, I happened to come across a study published by a young Japanese researcher about something called reactive astrocytes, a type of support cell in the brain. When I read their findings, I was shocked. I had to admit that my past decades of work were wrong. My wife had not been suffering from the beta amyloid protein, but from a completely different cause. The late realization of this truth tormented me with the guilt of not being able to protect her, but it also gave me a sense of mission to protect more people in the future, which brought me back to the clinic. I put on my white coat again and started new research. The reason I am here today is to share this new truth with you. You can only understand the full picture of this story by listening to it until the end. Please stay with me until the end and share this important information with your loved ones. The real culprit of dementia. Until now, the main suspect of dementia was a protein called beta amyloid. Many doctors and pharmaceutical companies have focused on this protein to develop treatments, but the new discovery tells a different story. The real culprit is reactive astrocytes. Astrocytes are originally good protectors of the brain. They supply nutrients, clean up waste, and protect brain cells. They are essential for nerve cells in the brain to function properly. However, when these astrocytes are exposed to extreme stress, brain injury, or toxic substances, they turn into a sort of arsonist and begin to destroy the brain. They kill healthy brain cells in a chain reaction. This is the real beginning of dementia. Do you think your brain is safe right now? Are you aware that the protectors in your brain may be turning into arsonists at this very moment? 5 risk factors for dementia. Here are 5 risk factors that cause reactive astrocytes to go rogue, which I discovered through my 60 years of research and countless patient cases. Chronic stress. Prolonged stress can cause inflammation in the brain and make astrocytes go rogue. Stress secretes a hormone called cortisol, and persistently high levels of this hormone can damage the hippocampus, a crucial region of the brain responsible for memory, A prime example is the case of Mr. Fader Tanaka, a 4-year-old businessman I treated. He suffered from extreme stress for 3 years after his business failed. He was also plagued by insomnia, forgetfulness, and a decline in his ability to concentrate. To deal with his stress, he relied on excessive alcohol and tobacco. Many people choose excessive drinking or eating to relieve stress, but you must avoid this, as it can worsen brain inflammation and accelerate damage. The impact of stress on the brain is much more severe than you might think. You must start by learning to control your stress. What do you do to manage your stress? Have you ever felt that simple rest wasn't enough? Brain injury. Studies show that even a minor head injury can increase the risk of dementia years later. When the brain is exposed to external impact, astrocytes can be damaged, which can trigger an inflammatory response that ultimately leads to dementia. Mr. Johnson, a 60-year-old man, fell and hit his head 10 years ago. He thought there was nothing seriously wrong and didn't seek proper medical treatment. He had no symptoms at the time and forgot about it. But over time, he experienced a decline in his memory and judgment and was recently diagnosed with early-stage dementia. It's crucial to get a brain scan after any head injury, even if you have no symptoms, and to have regular follow-up checkups. Repeated brain injuries from contact sports or accidents in your youth can lay the groundwork for dementia later in life. If you have ever had a head injury, are you experiencing any symptoms now? Viral infections. Viruses like COVID-19 and the flu can confuse the immune system and stimulate astrocytes. When a virus enters the brain's immune cells become overactivated. This process can cause the secretion of inflammatory cytokines that destroy astrocytes. Mrs. Evans, a 62-year-old woman, experienced a decline in concentration and brain fog after recovering from COVID-19. She started making frequent mistakes in her daily life and struggled to follow conversations. After an infection, it's important to get enough rest and to do brain exercises to help your brain recover. Rather than pushing yourself with strenuous activities, even a mild infection like a cold or the flu should not be ignored. You need to get enough rest for your brain to recover. Have you ever experienced a decline in memory or concentration after an infection? Exposure to toxic substances. When toxic substances like fine dust, heavy metals, and plastic additives accumulate in the brain, they can cause astrocytes to change. These toxins can pass through the blood-brain barrier and cause direct damage to the brain. Mrs. Smith, a 8-year-old woman, had used aluminum cookware for decades and lived in an area with a lot of fine dust. A medical examination revealed that heavy metals were detected in her brain. Using plastic containers with hot food or using pots with scratched coatings can also be fatal to brain health. These toxins accumulate in the brain over time without us even knowing and slowly cause disease. Do you have any pots with scratched coatings or aluminum cookware in your house right now? Oxidative stress, smoking, excessive alcohol consumption, and a lack of exercise are the main culprits that cause brain cells to oxidize. Oxidative stress is a phenomenon where unstable molecules called free radicals attack brain cells. Mr. Wilson, a 70-year-old man, had a rapid decline in his memory due to his irregular lifestyle and heavy drinking since he was young. The idea that it's okay to do it once in a while is the most dangerous. Oxidative stress accumulates slowly and invisibly, so you must always be vigilant. The additives and fats in processed foods can trigger brain inflammation, and excessive alcohol consumption directly destroys nerve cells. Do processed or instant foods appear on your table often? 6 strategies for dementia prevention. It's not too late to start now. I will tell you about 6 strategies that can protect your brain by preventing reactive astrocytes from going rogue. These strategies are ones that I have seen work in my patients and in my own life. Stress management. Stress is the biggest factor that makes astrocytes go rogue. A 65-year-old woman I treated, Mrs. Lee, suffered from stress for a long time due to problems with her children. It led to insomnia and a decline in memory. I told her to spend 10 minutes every evening closing her eyes and meditating or listening to her favorite music. She was skeptical at first, but after consistently doing this, her insomnia improved, and her memory gradually recovered. Be careful, as excessive drinking and smoking to relieve stress can actually destroy your brain. When you are stressed, blood flow to the brain decreases, which hinders the supply of oxygen and nutrients to brain cells. What do you do to manage your stress? Have you ever felt that simple rest wasn't enough to solve the problem? Regular exercise. Consistently do aerobic exercises like walking or swimming, and try to do strength training about twice a week. Exercise activates blood circulation, supplies oxygen and nutrients to the brain, and helps with brain cell metabolism. Mr. Kim, a 72-year-old retired teacher, spent his retirement feeling listless, and his brain health declined rapidly. I recommended that he walk for 30 minutes every day in a nearby park and do some simple exercises. A few months later, he regained his energy, and his cognitive function visibly improved. It's more important to exercise consistently than to overexert yourself. Be mindful of your exercise intensity, especially if you have heart disease or arthritis. Did you take the elevator instead of the stairs today? Antioxidant food intake. It's a good idea to consistently eat foods rich in antioxidants, such as blueberries, nuts, green tea, and turmeric. Antioxidants remove free radicals and prevent brain cells from oxidizing. Mr. Park, a 68-year-old business owner, typically enjoyed greasy food, but was diagnosed with severe aging of his brain's blood vessels during a health checkup. I told him to eat a handful of nuts and drink a cup of green tea every day, and to add a little turmeric to his food. A few years later, the condition of his brain's blood vessels had noticeably improved. If you have specific health conditions, it's best to consult with an expert on the right amount to consume. People with kidney disease, in particular, need to regulate their nut intake. How about drinking a cup of green tea instead of coffee after your next meal? Avoiding toxic substances. On days when the air quality is poor, avoid going out or be sure to wear a mask. Also, eat hot food in glass or ceramic containers and throw away any pots with a scratched coating. Mrs. Choi, a 75-year-old retired government employee, had a habit of eating hot soup in a plastic container every day. A medical examination revealed that microplastics had accumulated in her brain. Seemingly trivial, daily habits can be a fatal poison to your brain. It's also important to ventilate your home and use fresh ingredients. Why not start with ventilating your home today? Sufficient sleep. Make it a habit to get at least 7 hours of deep sleep every night. It's important to avoid using electronic devices before bed and to create a comfortable atmosphere for sleeping. During sleep, astrocytes play a crucial role in cleaning up waste from the brain. Mr. Lee, a 70-year-old retired company employee, suffered from chronic sleep deprivation. Since he was young, when his memory got worse, he made an effort to fix his sleep patterns, and as a result, his cognitive function improved significantly. If you have a condition like sleep apnea that prevents you from getting enough sleep, it's important to seek treatment. An irregular sleep pattern can hinder the brain's waste cleanup and trigger inflammation. Did you get at least 7 hours of deep sleep last night? Maintaining social interaction. It's a good idea to talk with friends and family often, and to participate in social gatherings and clubs. Not isolating yourself and constantly using your brain can be a huge help in maintaining it. An 80-year-old woman, Mrs. Kim, who had been living alone after her husband passed away, experienced depression, along with a decline in her memory. I encouraged her to go to the community center to play cards with friends and talk to them. She regained her smile, and her memory returned to what it used to be. Social isolation can cause the brain to shrink and accelerate a decline in cognitive function. Did you have a conversation that stimulated your brain today? Your brain can heal. Everyone. Dementia is no longer an inevitable fate. What I, Dr. Carter, have learned from 60 years of life as a doctor and as a person is that just one small habit can change a person's life. It may be difficult to practice all the 11 causes and prevention strategies I talked about today at once, but don't give up. It's never too late to start now. The brain has an amazing ability to recover. With just one change from you, your brain can shine again. But wait, are you aware that you may be doing things that destroy your brain at this very moment? Let's reflect on your life. Am I living with chronic stress? Am I dismissing a past brain injury as just a thing of the past? Am I letting my guard down after a recent viral infection? Am I being exposed to toxins in my surroundings without any protection? Am I continuing with a lifestyle that causes oxidative stress to the brain? Ask yourself these questions. This small self-examination can be the first step to protecting your brain. And then, one by one, start practicing the 6 strategies to protect your brain. Instead of the big goal of stress management, start with something small, like finding inner peace with 10 minutes of meditation every day. Regular exercise doesn't just mean going to a gym. Reflect on whether you took the elevator instead of the stairs, and try taking just one more step on the stairs. Diet management isn't difficult. Start with the small effort of putting a handful of blueberries on your table. To avoid toxic substances, use glass containers instead of plastic ones. And give your brain a chance to cleanse itself by getting at least 7 hours of deep sleep every night. Finally, make it a habit to take a walk around the neighborhood with a friend or family member while talking. Social interaction is a powerful stimulant that awakens the brain. Everyone, this moment is what matters. Of the 5 risk factors for dementia, how many do you have? Are you suffering from chronic stress? Are you ignoring a past brain injury? Is your recovery from a recent infection slow? Are you exposed to toxic substances without protection? Are you maintaining a lifestyle that causes oxidative stress? If the answer is yes to even one of these, you must make a change, starting today. On the other hand, what about the 6 strategies to protect your brain? Are you properly managing your stress? Are you exercising regularly? Are you eating enough antioxidant foods? Are you avoiding toxic substances? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you maintaining social interactions? All of these things will ultimately become the most powerful shield to protect your brain. Remember, the protectors in your brain can always turn back into good astrocytes. Start a small practice today, and be sure to share this information with your loved ones. Your healthy life at 100 begins again today. In the next video, I'll talk in detail about 5 foods that are especially good for brain health and can help improve your memory,